Okay, so let's go ahead and jump into destructors. Now, by now we have learned how to perform certain actions when an instance of a class is created. Now we will learn how to perform a certain set of actions again when an instance of the class is being destroyed. So the syntax for writing a destructor is similar to the constructor syntax. In fact, it's pretty much the same. The only difference is that the destructor have a tilde sign in front of the name. I will show you that shortly in the form of a pseudocode, and then we'll go into a demo. And destructors cannot have parameters, and you can only have one destructor. I've written it in such a marvelous way in the notes. It's going to look like this. So let's say you have a class date, which is up above. So if you wanted to write a destructor for date class, you would do this. Date, so pretty much the same as a constructor, no difference there. And some code here. Some code would go here. So this is how a destructor would look like in terms of pseudocode. As you can see, it's very similar to a constructor. A constructor is pretty much the same, except the tilde sign is not there. No big deal. It's a fairly simple concept, no big deal. Now we can go back to our dummy class, and we'll go ahead and minimize the date class so that it doesn't interfere on the screen. So we can go into the dummy class, and pretty much everything will remain the same, except we will go ahead and add a destructor at the end. So let's just go ahead, go below the last method and do this. Dummy class, and I don't know, we'll print something out onto the screen for the sake of the demo. Destructor has been called. It's going to be like this, std endl. There we go. So there was a destructor at the end here. You see, it's pretty much the same as a constructor. No big deal. There isn't anything special that needs to be written except that tilde there, and it needs to be the name needs to be the same as the name of the class. I'm just gonna go ahead and remove this for the time being, and I'll type in dummy class dummy1, and down below we're gonna have a new scope. So we'll just do this. Dummy class dummy2, and dummy2 will die here. So at the end of this bracket. So at the end of this curly bracket, dummy2 will die and will no longer be in existence. To put it simply, the memory space will be freed in a way. Std cout. Hello. I don't know, this is just for the demo's sake that I'm printing it out onto the screen, and there we go. And the dummy1 will actually die at the end of the main. Dummy1 will die at the end of the main. So let's go ahead and run this and see what happens. Hello constructor here. Hello constructor here, and then it says destructor has been called, and again it says destructor has been called. So the first one is basically the destructor for dummy2, and then the second one is for dummy1. Here, let me just do this a little bit. So the first destructor that is called is for dummy2. It's a little bit counterintuitive in a way, but perhaps not. Let me just do this so you can see it better. Okay, so this one is being called dummy1. Fine. Hello constructor here, and then it begins calling this one, dummy2. Okay, so it calls that one as well. It says constructor here. And then once it leaves this scope, which we have defined with the curly braces, it says a destructor has been called, because it has been called. And then it prints this out onto the screen, like hello or whatever. And then once it reaches the end of the main, the destructor is being called for dummy1 as well. Simple as that. No need for any super detailed explanations or some elaborate complex things. I just want to show you how you can use the destructors. Always a good idea to use them, freeing up memory space and making your code as efficient as possible. So once you no longer need the instance of a class, once you no longer need anything else from that class, call a destructor or leave a destructor. Put a destructor here so that it actually terminates, because you don't want it to actually keep on existing past the point which you do not know, where you no longer would actually require anything from that particular class. Got a little bit in a loop with words there, but I'm sure you get the idea. The moral of the story is, once you stop needing something, destroy it. Although probably not the best course to take in life, you know. Okay, so we're gonna go ahead and jump into the next tutorial.